Welcome to the grand city of Rabanastre, capital of the Dalmascan Empire, and where your journey with the Final Fantasy Open World Randomizer will start. In this video I'll be talking about checks that one may do in both Rabanastre and the connected Garamsythe waterways. Underneath the bustling upper streets filled with market stalls and twisting alleys lie the warrens of the undercity of Old Lowtown. Thence, leading from Lowtown, one may find the rather spacious sewers of the Garamsythe waterway. It is the centre of civic life, the Sandsea Tavern, that you will find your journey's start. You'll start your journey in Rabanastre in Tomage's pub, wherein he will give you 3 different checks, which may or may not be useful items. Your first port of call upon starting the randomizer will almost certainly be to check out the shops. Depending on your settings, you may be checking out just one or every single shop in Rabanastre. Note that the shops in Lowtown are a separate randomization table, so you will need to make a check for those. If you're just exiting the Sandsea, head to the north entrance and you'll be able to find a quick entryway to the Lowtown. Upon checking out the Rabanastre shops, you'll have 2 main options. If you happen to have a starting amount of gil, it is worthwhile going to the Aerodrome and then using the Aerodrome sky ferries to visit the various other capital cities in Ivalice. You'll need money as it costs between 100 and 250 gil for each trip, and you do not wish to be stranded in a much higher level area. This can be useful for scouting out the shops for any useful abilities and or equipment, but again, if you lack the gil, it's not worth checking out straight away. Instead, I would recommend heading to the South Gate via the Moogling services that are scattered throughout Rabanastre and heading towards Giza Plains. Giza will be in a separate video for this one, but before heading into Giza for the first time, make sure you chat with the adventurer Seek that is standing near the Chocobo Pen to change the weather from rainy to sunny. So next port of call in Rabanastre, once you've gotten a couple of levels, I would recommend probably around about level 10 to do a 15. You'll be taking on the Wraith hunt in the sewers. The Wraith is relatively easy. Main thing to be aware of is that it will cast Doom. There is a save crystal just in the next area should both party members be doomed and your countdown is running out. This one is a useful hunt to do, as the hunt itself has a check upon completion, and there is an additional check of the Dusty Letter on the table next to the young Seek in the house. Another good early game check to do is to at least initiate the quest for the Windvane. The Windvane quest starts in Rabanastre's West Gate by talking to a Bungar researcher from Arcades. He will mention that he's looking out for sandstorms, and he'll talk about some Rabanastans who may have had some hints. One of these guys will be sitting on the fountain directly east of the Bungar's location. Talk to him and he'll mention his friend who happens to be in Lowtown. This is an excellent check to do when you also happen to be heading to the Wraith hunt previously mentioned. Talk to Northern in the north section of the Lowtown Sprawl. Talk to Northern and he will tell you about a treasure hidden in a Dinas cactus in the Wester Sand. Once you happen to have the Wind Globe key item and have completed the Dinas cactus check, you'll be able to progress with the next section of this side quest. Talk to Rimzat, the Arcadian researcher back at the West Gate with the Wind Globe in your inventory, and he will give you another check. All of this can be done without any combat whatsoever. The final part of this side quest will require having the Windvane key item to be able to access the boss section of this quest. Another relatively easy, although potentially time-consuming check is that of the Grimy Fragment. There is a Numu who lives in Old Darlin's house in the southern section of Lowtown. If you speak to him and he mentions misplaced medallions, you'll be able to initiate this quest. If he does not talk about misplaced medallions, then you may need to initiate the quest by going to the Nabreus Deadlands entrance and talking to the older Numu there. If you are able to initiate this one, this quest is a lot of running around from different sections of the map trying to track down an NPC. The Grimy Fragment is quite a bit of a wild goose chase, taking you all through Rabanastre back and forth multiple times. Finds Philo, who happens to be in the southeastern corner of Lowtown. She'll mention that they haven't checked the city streets yet. Go to the fountain, central Rabanastre, talk to a woman who has lost her memory. Then you'll need to head to Mithru Bazaar, speak to 2 merchant NPCs. One of them mentions in selling the necklace that she's after to an Imperial. You then need to go to Ugri's Magics and talk to the Sotted, aka Drunk Imperial. After that, you'll need to head back to the fountain, discover the lady isn't there, then have to go to the northern section of Lowtown and talk to Kites, near the entrance to the Garamsythe waterway. Finally, you'll have to head down to Lowtown and talk to Philo again. Thankfully, she will take you to Ugri's Magic straight away, and then you'll be able to hand in this check. It's a lot of running around and may or may not be worth your effort. If it is hinted at, do this one. The next set of checks in Rabanastre all either require some sort of key item or are better left into the mid-game. The first major one that requires a key item is the next check that is well worth doing, is initiating the Palace Escape sequence. If you happen to have the Crescent Stone, you are able to go to the other door in the Garamsythe waterway, the one that is on the left of the entryway, and there you will be able to begin the Palace Escape sequence. This is a relatively long section of gameplay. However, after about 10 minutes of skipping and hay bucket heading, you'll receive 2 additional party members. Simply having the Crescent Stone will allow you to have both 2 additional party members and a key item check. The key item check is for the Goddess's Magicite. Once you have gotten your 2 party members, you will see a green teleport crystal, which will allow you to return to the main game proper, and if you do happen to have the tube fuse, you'll be able to finish off the Palace Escape sequence. The benefits of doing this is that you'll have several clan bosses that you can hand in if you also happen to have the clan primer. Once you do have the tube fuse, it is generally fairly easy to complete the sequence, and you're most likely to be over-leveled for that section of the game. There is a 3rd party member that can be acquired in Rabanastre, and that is Barsh. To do this check, you will require the Sword of the Order, and then talk to the NPC Balzac in the northern section of Lowtown. The next biggest thing you can do, once you have the specific key item, is the clan primer and clan hall. Once you do have your clan primer, make a beeline for the clan hall in the northern section of Rabanastre, talk to Montblanc the Moogle, and get started. There are a lot of rewards that are locked behind the clan primer. Notably, all of the elite marks require the primer to be able to initiate them. Montblanc also provides numerous rewards for the various levels of clan rank, from Poppet all the way up to the Order of Ambrosia. However, note that you will never require the Order of Ambrosia to be able to clear the randomizer. Montblanc will also give you additional rewards and checks for defeating various bosses scattered throughout the game. You may find that if you receive the clan primer relatively late in your run, that you'll have many rewards to claim from Montblanc all at once. There are 2 additional hunts in the Garamsythe waterway. The first is that of the White Moose. This is a mid-level hunt. The White Moose is a mid-level hunt. If you are able to deal with the Malboros that hang out in the same area as the white moose, you will probably be okay to deal with the moose itself. Upon death, the white moose will drop a check for the Grimy key. You will also require the Grimy key to be able to hand in the check with the Moogle for the hunt rewards, and a secondary check for the sluice gate key. Once you do have the sluice gate key, that will open up 2 additional things that you can do in the Garamsythe waterway. If you have the key, you are able to do the puzzle with the valves in order to access the Dull Fragment. To open all the valves, you'll need to close gate 11, then 4, reopen gate 11, then shut gate 3, then open gate 4, and a shiny object will fall behind the gates on the pathway. This would normally be the Dull Fragment check. Additionally, with the sluice gate key, you will be able to access and challenge Cuchulainn, one of the Espers. I do not recommend doing this, as it takes quite a long time to access Cuchulainn, as you will require to solve a sluice gate maze, activate several switches, and then enter the boss's dungeon. Cuchulainn himself is also no slouch, as he will spam status ailments, and if you lack Asuna, Asunaga, and Cleanse, you are going to have a bad time. Furthermore, in general, Espers are not really worth going for unless they have been hinted, as there are much easier Espers to acquire than Cuchulainn. There's one additional relatively easy, although exceedingly time-consuming check that you can do in Rabanastre without items, and that is the Vera Rendezvous or Ktjrn's reward. In Muthru Bazaar, there happens to be a Vera Ktjrn sitting on the edge of some steps. You can speak to her, and she will ask you questions about her life in Rabanastre. Depending on her answers, that will determine where she winds up. However, she will only ask you a question every 15 minutes of gameplay. So to complete this section, you will need to spend about an hour's worth of gameplay. So again, unless this one is hinted, you're probably not going to be doing this one. The final hunt that can be done in Rabanastre Garamsythe Waterway is that of the Orthos. You are unlikely to be doing this one until very late in your run, as this one requires having the clan primer, in addition to having 3 female party members. The Orthos is somewhat specific in his tastes, and to initiate the fight, and you must have all 3 females active in the party. Only then will this lecherous lump of custard make an appearance. Once you have defeated him, though, he will give you an additional check. To finally hand in the hunt, you will also need the stolen articles to be able to hand them back to the Seek Thief. There are some miscellaneous checks that old Darlin can give you. When you have various items in your possession or have had them in your possession, things such as the Sunstone, he will give you an assortment of items and checks. And that concludes all the checks for the Rabanastre section of the game. So in summary, check out the shops, initiate the Windvane quest, and then head towards Giza Plains as your first moves in Rabanastre. Then once you've got the various key items required for different steps, work out which ones you should prioritize next.